This isn't even this console's final form.
Let's go!
So consoles, especially Nintendo consoles, have multiple iterations often. It's not just a one and done.
Trying to be Apple or something.
Yeah, except for the NES, the NES-S, the NES-C, NES Plus.
They typically have okay names.
Yeah.
So we're going to go over home consoles today. And first, I'd like to give a big shout out to our friends at Nintendo Force. Because this episode was inspired by one of their articles in issue number 23, A Fresh Coat of Paint. And I love this magazine, and I particularly love this issue. I think it might be the best magazine that they've made. And I read this whole one so fast. So even if you're not subscribed to Nintendo Force, you should try to pick up this issue. And the article is before and after Nintendo's hardware revisions. So the whole theme of the magazine is a fresh coat of paint, and Nintendo gave fresh coats of paint to some of these consoles. So they cover consoles and handhelds. So we're just going to talk about the consoles today.
You remember that commercial?
Yes.
The fresh coat of paint.
Oh, we'll talk about it. We sure will, but we're going to go in chronological order. So our first console revision was the NES Top Loader. So we'll take a little glance there. Pretty cool looking console.
And the controller is different too, which I forget about.
Yeah, I do too.
But the Top Loader is so cool. Like this is a really, really awesome system. It's smaller, it works better, has the dust cover thing.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And I did want to ask you about the controller particularly, because I know you're very passionate about which buttons do what and the angle of the buttons. So it looks to me like this is wrong. Wouldn't you want a lower so your thumb lays across it?
I would.
Yeah. And
that's something that, like, when they do an SNES style controller, they usually... You either have customizable controls, or they usually get it right, like in Super Mario Brothers, or Super Mario World, where they have is that the X button or the Y button? I can't remember which one's to the left.
Y.
That's the run, and then B is jump.
Right, so it's slanting down.
You can run and jump at the same time, as opposed to
holding
it like John Elway. Okay.
So here's some facts about the NES Top Loader. It was $50. That's less. I mean. There was inflation. It was that's about $90 these days. But anyway,
still,
this came out in 1993, which is after the SNES was out. So they sold about one of these for every 6 of the original NES, or that design is also known as the toaster, the toaster oven. Had a unique controller, like you said, and this came out a long time after the original NES did.
Right, and it's
8 years.
So much cooler though. Like that's the kind of console that I beat my world record on, was the Top Loader.
Really?
Yes.
That's cool.
I want a Top Loader.
I think it's interesting to have a console successor come out and then go back and put a cheaper version of their other console. It's a very interesting sales tactic.
Indeed.
Here is an SNES Mini. And I gotta say, I rarely ever see these revisions. I rarely ever see the Top Loader or this SNES Mini in stores, pawn shops, people's houses, anything.
I don't know if I've ever seen this one in person.
These are much more rare.
Yes.
This is a lot smaller. Let's look at the facts about the SNES Mini Simeon.
Yes. It's $100 with the game, which is, adjusted for inflation. Do you know about how much that is?
Well, less inflation now, so maybe 140. I mean, since this was much later than the NES, less inflation going on. 140, 135.
But it came with a game, which is always a plus. The N64 was out.
Yep, because it's released in 1997.
Came out in 97. So it was, the alternative to families who are on a budget. We don't have enough money for an N64, but we can get an SNES and get some older games.
And the controller wasn't revised so much this time.
No.
But instead of the SNES controller, which originally said Super Nintendo on it, this one just said Nintendo.
Really?
Yeah. So if you release a console after the successor comes out, I guess it makes a little more sense to promote your general brand than your older console.
I guess so.
Get the name Nintendo out there. So N64 didn't have much really, just colors. There's this one really odd Pikachu hardware revision though.
With the feet buttons.
The feet buttons, or just one button.
Right.
What's crazy about this N64 is that it's asymmetrical.
Yeah, it's got like a big Pikachu tumor on the side of it.
So they literally have to shift like that. The side with the Pikachu is longer. It's weird. It's very weird.
I don't know about that design choice, but
no,
it's still cool looking. So, I think I have seen that.
Yeah.
Before in person.
I think you've commented on a TBC episode.
Yes.
And then other than that, there were just cosmetic changes. There were the bunch of different colors came out in the year 2000. Mm-hmm. So I mean, this was what, Nintendo commercials that we talked about it on?
Yes.
There's a hilarious one.
Where the different armies are coming to clash.
In their undies.
In their, yeah.
Or swimsuits.
Swimsuits, yeah, no. Because the girlfriend asked her boyfriend which swimsuit he likes better, and he's still thinking about the N64.
Just watch it.
Yeah, it's really bizarre, but...
Here is, I'll say, the largest console revision.
No,
you seen this thing, buddy?
I have never seen this thing.
All right.
What is this?
Uncle Scotty's taking you all to school. This is the Panasonic Q. This is not a mock-up. This is not a fan design. This is a product, and I believe it only came out in Japan. Let's go back to the facts. I'm sorry, I know you want to keep looking at it.
What?
This was $439, very expensive in 2001, only came out in Japan. And the GameCube was given a DVD player in order to help compete with Microsoft and Sony. The Xbox and the PlayStation could both play DVDs. And of course, with GameCube only having such small discs, there were no way to play DVDs in it.
Wait. This came out in 2001.
Yep.
What was their excuse in 2006? The Wii could not play that.
No. Actually, the Wii could physically play DVDs, and you had to hack it.
Oh, yes, that's true.
So they just want to prevent us from watching movies, because that's what a company should do.
And then it has the Panasonic controller.
Yeah, it was like a remote for all your DVD needs. Oh, but I think what you're talking about was the branding.
Yeah, it has Panasonic on
instead of Nintendo, controller. It has Panasonic in the middle. So I'd like to get my hands on one of those controllers. That'd be very novel.
Seriously.
This thing is kind of huge and ugly and weird.
Do you know what that reminds me of?
What?
It reminds me of those things that they have like in hotels.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
They're like, play video games on your hotel TV.
Yes.
You pay like $90 to play Mario 64 for 30 minutes.
Right. So they went to so much trouble making this Panasonic Q. This thing had like a different base. It had feet on it. Right. So it needed its own Game Boy player.
Wait, they actually made a
They did! A much larger Panasonic Q Game Boy Advance player.
At that moment in time, why would you even bother?
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't even bother at that point.
No.
It's not...
It's like you can play DVDs on this thing and not Game Boy Advance games. Isn't this crazy?
Oh my goodness.
The Wii.
Yes.
We got our launch Wiis. Just stop smiling, Simeon. And we kept them until we sold them for our Wii U's. Or you still have yours? Yours broke.
Yeah, mine broke, but I got your brother's.
Believe it or not, there were revisions of the Wii. There was the Family 2011 edition, which just stripped out features.
Yeah.
That's what you call it.
Yeah.
Family.
Yeah. Stripping family.
It's funny. It removed all GameCube functionality because like, okay, this thing is way more popular than GameCube ever was.
Right.
The port holes are still in there. If you pry open the now sealed case of the Wii Family Edition, you can see where the GameCube ports would go. The port holes are there, but no actual ports to plug stuff into. Interesting.
That's so weird.
This one was changed to rest horizontally instead of like the Wii, which was popular to stand up.
Right.
It had feet. It still also had the vertical feet, but it didn't come with a stand, and all the labels were rotated so that you would read it while the console was sitting horizontally. Okay. So I guess you don't have to produce more stands, you're saving a little bit more money there. This one was much cheaper to make. So I mean, you remember the Wii Mini?
Oh yeah, you mean the Sega Saturn?
Yes. This thing had next to nothing going on for it.
You know what though? I really appreciate this one because it must not have sold very well though, because the Wii was their biggest selling home console. And so they released a budget one for people who didn't already still have one.
Top Loader.
Top Loader.
It looked like half a GameCube or something.
Yeah, it's very small. If I had not gotten a Wii by the time this came out, I would buy that.
Yeah. Well, Simeon, this also had no online. You couldn't connect it to Wi-Fi. So imagine how hollow and weird your Wii would seem without shop, without everybody votes. You gotta have that news, weather. You can't go to the shop. You can't. The whole bulletin thing would be there, but you couldn't send anybody messages.
Oh yeah. That would make it pointless.
It's extremely stripped down.
See, it is, but by that point, there wasn't really anything still going on for the Wii.
Yeah.
As far as online functionality.
Well, Nintendo Wi-Fi connection is shut down. Forget about all that. Man, that Panasonic Q is crazy, huh?
That is, I have never seen anything like that. That is the weirdest thing. I did not know that existed. The Panasonic Q.
Yeah.
That just sounds like a Chinese company coming out with like their rip-off version, trying to pawn it off like,
but it was official.
This is the game Nendo. Remember when the Wii came out? There were Chinese companies. Well, what did they call them?
Whizzes?
The Whiz. It was something like that. It was like, the V.
Yeah.
VII. Yes, and they tried to sell them as the Wii because it looked like the same thing. It was, a Chinese bootleg company.
Probably worked too. One thing that is really cool about these is like, after a console generation ends is a great time to get on board. You get the cheap remake and you have this amazing backlog. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. What games are good. You don't have to worry about a game being good or not.
Those of you watching who don't own a Wii U yet, like, it's about to get to be a pretty good season to jump in on.
Indeed. Especially for a console though, so expensive at launch.
Yeah. What is today? Throwback Thursday?
Today is Throwback Thursday. Let's throw it back to another episode of ours. Yeah. Go back to one of our old episodes. Explore the Crooniverse. I was exploring a little too much and I hit our light, which happens. Explore the Crooniverse. Watch one of our old episodes.
That's a pretty good word, I mean. And it's really a popular thing to do. Mm-hmm. We get emails, comments coming through on old videos all the time. There's a really good backlog to enjoy. Over 300 episodes. Yes. Almost 350.
Oh, we're getting close. What are we going to do?
Take a nap. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the crew.
See you next time.